So, hello everyone, and welcome to the UAE Regional Group's exam preparation course. It's actually our third course of the year. So, I've just put up a timetable for the course on the screen. So today is our 13th of November. It's our introduction, approach, and time management. And our speaker for this will be John Price. I'll hand over to him in about 1 minute's time. Um, so tomorrow we're going to issue the candidates a question that you can attempt yourself under exam conditions over the next week and submit it to us. And then next week on Tuesday, the 21st of November, we will have a workshop where you'll be given the opportunity to share your answer and discuss with the committee members, and we can give you some feedback. And then the following day, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to issue another question. And then on 28th of November, we'll have another workshop, feedback, share screen session. We'll then take a break for December. And then on the 2nd of January, we'll issue another exam paper and another workshop on the 9th of January so that you'll be ready to take the exam on 24th of January. So we would encourage you to do the exam questions under exam conditions in order to get the most benefit from the session. Just a note, we have a sponsor. The UAE Region Group has a sponsor, Hempel, who provide durability and intumescent coatings for steelwork. So what I'll do now is I'll hand you over to John Price for his presentation on the introduction, the approach, and time management, and it'll also incorporate the recent changes to the exam. Over to you, John.
Thanks, Dirk. So I'm not too sure how many years I've been doing this now. Far too many. Just look.
Yep.
Far too great for this. Good evening, everyone. Like I said, I'm broadcasting from outside because it's a beautiful day this evening. Apologies if my cat jumps on the screen. She loves to get involved in institute work, so advance apologies. Okay, I'll just share my screen, just get this show on the road. Okay, gang. I've got a bit of a sore throat today, so I'll just keep it brief. If it starts sounding croaky, then apologies in advance. So tonight, the introduction, chartered member exam. So it's the new format and how to use your time wisely. Usually my old videos talk about time management. I'll still talk about time management, but our main focus tonight is just a very high level view on the new format. This is a good move, I think, by the Institute, and it's going to get a lot of people thinking about sustainability. Okay, so what do we have here? So we're going to go through sections 1 through to 6, where we go through the structure, time allocation, timetable, rough timetable, the level of detail that you need to be putting into the exam paper itself, brief look at method statements, and then at the end, what actually success looks like. So this new format, big emphasis now on sustainability. The exam, still the same amount of marks. So what they've done is they've taken out some elements and inserted sustainability in. So you'll notice that as we go through this, you'll see that there's no program, but there's an emphasis on sustainability. So it's embedded now as a fundamental part of the examination, and it should be a part of your professional and personal life anyway. So both of your schemes that you come up with need to conclude a commentary on how sustainability has been considered in your design. Now, to do this, you've got to demonstrate a knowledge of carbon minimization and the hierarchy of carbon reduction approaches. So look, I'll briefly look at this at a high level, and I certainly know the team are coming through with some more detailed examples of how to do this. Sounds ominous, it really isn't. So again, I always touch on time management each and every time. And every time I talk to people who do this, you walk into the exam as a great engineer. But this exam isn't about great engineering, it's about time management. Okay, so these are quotes from past examiner reports. And as you can see there, time management is always a problem. It quotes there for section 2E that many candidates run out of time by the time we get to the end and just come up with a generalized list. So this is all about being regimented and timing. So section 1, the structure of the exam. I've expanded on this from my YouTube video that we've got on there at the moment. This includes the changes. So look, there's a simple structure to this. High level look, it's a 7-hour exam. The first 15 minutes, you don't do anything. You've got no computers, no electronic devices. So you walk through the door, you hand your phone in, okay? Can't have smart watches. It's just you, your pencil, and the calculator. You have 30 minutes for lunch. And generally speaking, the invigilators are not experts. You'll find that in the UAE, the guys and girls that actually invigilate are members of the committee, but do not look at them for any advice, just treat them as non-experts. Okay, so this is why you're all dialed in tonight, the new format, the new key differences. Okay, so nothing's changing so far as we've got 2 distinct and viable solutions, but they are viable and sustainable. Okay. And extra marks will be given to those who provide more differences and demonstrate this viability. And you'll need them. On my words, you need them. Every second and every point counts. Now, look, you need to be demonstrating in your solutions, you're minimizing material through efficiency. Okay, we need to consider reuse and the benefits thereof. Saying I'm going to use timber, or I'm going to use GGBS concrete or other such materials, it doesn't cut here. You need to be demonstrating that you're efficient and you're minimizing that material to get that efficiency. Okay. Now you need to use sustainability as your key criterion for scheme choice. So the people that I mentor, I always say, look, do pros and cons for both of your schemes, mark them, tick them. Number 1 on that top of that list is going to talk about sustainability straight away, okay? But the team will go through this as we go through the workshops. Another change in the exam is you've got to write professional communication, which is French for an email, okay? And it's still like a letter, but don't use text speak. So shortening, abbreviating, it needs to be just common English. So no please, thanks, TBH, lol. And here's an important one, the detailed design. They put more marks into the detailed design because now we're adding in approximate A1 to A3 carbon footprint calculations of all the principal structural elements, including foundations. And again, the team that are coming through will run through some calculations, quick calculations, high-level counts, which will give you these, which are enough for the exam. So like I said, one of the key differences, you've got to use sustainability as a key criterion here. So this diagram here, so this is the hierarchy, okay? You can get this off the Institute's website. It's adapted from PAS 2080. So the primary driver here is use less stuff, okay? Build nothing. Should be always the first thing on your list is actually question, do we need this, okay? And then build less, build clever, build efficiency, minimize waste. So you can see you've got this inverted pyramid. And if you look down there, and I've got my glasses on, carbon efficient materials. So GGBS and things like that are way down the list. Okay. You need to challenge the brief, repurpose, refurbish, reuse. Okay. So whether that's aggregates, whether that's reuse steelwork, we'll come on to these things throughout. So we're looking for upfront embodied carbon minimization here and minimize your material. Okay. You need to be very explicit in your decision making here. Number one, sustainability. I've done this because of this. For sustainability, always first. Okay, this is what the examples are looking for. There's another little section here off the website as well, where I know you can find this all on the istruct.org website. The focus here is on material reduction. Specification of lower carbon materials is not a suitable response. So you need to take that one step further. So here's probably quite a lot of you have not done this. I'd probably actually say 95% of people on this call have not done this at all. So this detailed design must have approximate A1 to A3 carbon footprints of all principal structural elements. Okay. Get a cheat sheet. Okay. So that's a small graphic. It'll be on the YouTube channel anyway. You can see this later there. But get a materials cheat sheet there. So we've got steel, concrete, timber, brickwork. We've got the embodied carbon values there. This will, if you haven't done this, don't worry. Certainly Nabil is going to run through this in later workshops. But if you grab hold of this publication or do an online course, how to calculate embodied carbon, you'll automatically, this would be very easy. Okay. Jump onto the web sheet to get the sustainability resource map. So these are all small graphics, but it's all off the website. Or do the course, Embodied Carbon Basics for Structural Engineers. It's an on-demand course. I've done this course. It takes several hours to get through. It's quite detailed. You'll get that cheat sheet from there. It does cost. So I suggest you actually go to the How to Calculate Carbon section in the website, where that's a free course. Okay. The email. Okay. As I said before, don't use text speak. The focus is on material reduction. I've said it in a previous slide. I'll say it again. I'll say it every time. Okay. People will be sick of me saying about time management, but now I'll say time management and material reduction. Okay. This is one of the key aspects. Communicate the impacts of the changes and include both the environmental benefits and other potential benefits like cost and program. And don't be afraid to put in the negative implications as well. And sketch. Use sketches. It's very important. If English isn't your forte, demonstrate it through sketches. Okay, let's move on to section 2 now. The mark and time allocation. So obviously this has changed because now we've put more marks into the detailed design, and we've taken marks out of other sections and also taken out the program. So there's a slight different change in the balance of marks here. So this section is all about playing to your strengths, okay? Personalize and review this after doing several mock papers, okay? You might be quick at writing the email, which means you're slower at doing detailed design, or your GAs. You might not be up to scratch at sketching, so you might need to put more time into that. So this is a basic program, a mark allocation, tailored to your needs. Okay, but be neat. Really, you got to be neat. So if this isn't neat or colourful, then the examiner isn't going to think you're putting the effort in. Okay. So the allocations of part 1A, which is concept, that's not changed. Okay, so it's still 40%. Part 1B now is the email, as opposed to the letter before. That's not changed for marks. The detailed design has. Okay, so there are more marks in that now. So that's more 22%, okay, as opposed to 20 before. Drawing section hasn't changed, but part 2E, which is the method statement, has got less marks because you're not doing a program. Okay, there's just a little note at the end which talks about 1 mark every 4 minutes. Okay, so this is, you can't change your mind 30 minutes into the exam or do another question. I don't like this one. Forget it. When you pick it, go for it because you've got no time. Okay. Okay, and what does this new question look like? Okay, let's have a look. So as you can see here, the wording has changed slightly there in section 1, where it says use sustainability as a key criteria. Okay, section B talks about increased structural efficiency and reduce material usage. Okay, so you see these words coming in now. This is the basis of the questions from now on. So when you do past papers, always think of this. Okay, so whether you're doing it from 1996, 2010, read the question and then go use sustainability as a key criteria. I need to reduce material. Okay, moving on to section 2 there. What they added in include approximate A1, A3 calculations. There's 2 extra marks here for that. Nothing's changed about the GAs. But when you look there at the bottom, it just says detailed method statement, safe construction of the word works, including the consideration of temporary works. So now that's only 8 marks, but it's an important 8 marks. Okay, timetable. So I've altered this slightly from previous years, but this hasn't changed. Okay, you've got to stick to your timetable. Move on. If you come to a section where you're running behind, just move on. And there again, it says there, state it in your script. Your paper, you blank one side with lines on the other. So on the other side, just say, I've not time to finish this, but I do X, Y, and Z. Leave lots of space and then come back to it when you can. So I've taken out the slides of my previous timetables on my other YouTube videos. So looking at here now, because the marks have changed, mark allocation has changed, and so has the timing has changed. But there you can see by Dr. Tendai, this is again is available on the Institute website. We've sort of rationalized the timing out. So there you're looking at appraisals, recommendations, your communications, 90 minutes for your calcs, 90 minutes for your drawings. Look, a bit of time in there for checking. So this is a very good timetable. I suggest you will stick to this one. This will be available on, like I said, the YouTube channel. We're going live now, but it'll be recorded. So I'm not going to go through these because I'm going to save my throat. But again, just the salient points on this one there for the communication, be brief, but be professional. Okay. On the recommendation of the scheme, your reasons should be sustainable. Number 1, go for the sustainability and then cost, buildability, adaptability, and aesthetics. Okay, but the thing is, sustainability is going to be always in the forefront of your mind. Okay, let's have a look at this level of detail. So all I've got to do is establish form and size, check all critical aspects, and then use your judgment experience on what needs checking. You're going into this exam as experienced engineers, okay? You need to be quick with your designs. So in some cases, you will have to say by inspection or referring to safe load tables and develop shortcuts. And some of those shortcuts the team will go through in the workshops as well. So in section 2C, you really need to manage your time well in here, because that's where time just disappears. It really does. So just concentrate on getting principal mainframe members, your stability system sorted out, and your foundations. It sounds easy, but time will just tick tock away. And don't repeat any calculations, just do the bare minimum. One edge beat, one main beat, one column, one set of bracing, one moment frame. Honestly, you've just not got time. So let's look at method statements. So part 2E now, 30 to 40 minutes. It's reduced down to 8 marks, as I said before. And this is important. You need to pass both parts 1 and 2. Some of the subsections you can drop some marks on, but you need to attempt all subsections to stand the chance of passing. Now look, this is a section that I've added in. And what does success actually look like, apart from passing it course? So, yes, the exam has changed slightly, but some of these principles these don't change. Okay, so method statements were mostly acceptable where candidates had used the time wisely. So this is key: use that time wisely. Sketches to illustrate direction issues. And overall time constraints did not appear to be an issue in that particular year. But then move on to the next one. Candidates left this section to the end when they were running out of time. I did those last 8 marks count. When you get 39 out of 40 and 39 out of 100 and you failed because you didn't get 40, this is where you pick up the time. Okay, run out of time, run out of time. It's a common theme. Some from 2019 right across the paper. Fair number of cases, poor time management. Section 2C D&A, poor time management. Candidates spent a lot of time on one component at the expense of other elements. Time management, okay? Time pressure. This exam, yes, it is about testing your engineering, but it's time management that is going to make you pass or fail. So from these examiners' reports, what does success look like? So finish what you start. Just go through, use your program, have a clock, take in a clock. So have a sustainable answer to the brief, okay? This is very important. Do just enough design checks, stay clear of non-critical elements. There you go, just don't be too detailed, simplistic, using section tables, design guides. Don't take in many books, okay? You're taking in 2 brief cases full of books, you're not going to pass. You have not got time. Produce a coherent email, okay? Focus on the facts and what I call the fluff. Don't put the fluff in. General arrangements, you need those 3 detailed designs. Don't just stick 3 RCC details in. Do details that are important and critical to your design, okay? The examiners are looking for how you interact as an engineer with other disciplines. So usually it's cladding. So you want to look at how you're supporting that brickwork, how are you supporting that block work, how are you supporting that glazing, how are you supporting the roof, connections of steelwork to steelwork, steelwork to concrete. Where you've got transfer structure, it's the important details, not just simple RCC details they do not want to see. So don't do time-consuming, non-critical RC details they don't want to see, okay? And one thing that slows people down is using scale rules all the time. Look, freehand draw if you want, as long as it's proportionate and you've got dimensions on. Your A3 paper has got 5mm squares on it. So it's very easy just to freehand sketch your GAs. And you have plenty of paper to do this. So don't cramp your general arrangements, don't cramp your details. Just as an aside to that, the Institute are actually looking at how they digitize this exam. And I think the more information will be coming out on that, possibly not next year, but potentially the year after that. So currently, we're still looking at your ability to get your ideas across using hand sketches. Very important. Don't be generic, be very specific on your text, your details, your general notes. You'll have a list of general notes, but don't just write anything down. Just be specific to your actual solution. And as you've seen from the examiner's report, don't rush your method statements. Look at your design and construction risks. There are 8 marks here to be given. And when you've got possibly a weak design, then you're going to need all the points you need. Okay. Very easy marks to get. What you need to do is watch the time. And I've changed this slide as well. So this is now available on the website, and a lot of the basis of my intro work on what's changed in the exam can be found in this exam prep guide. Just Google it, it'll come through. The link's very easy to find. It's a very good document. Quite happy to answer any questions on it offline. Most of you know how to get hold of me. And that's it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right back to the changes. Let's just go back through that again there. So it's imperative that look at these changes, especially when you're looking at past papers, okay? The document I gave at the end runs through one example, quite high level, but throughout the workshops, you'll be asked to look at past papers where they don't have these questions. So you've got to look at, with your own mind, 2 distinct viable and sustainable solutions, how you could consider reuse, where you build in efficiencies, always make sustainability as your key criteria for scheme choice. Don't write a letter and it's an email, and then do the A1 to A3 carbon footprint calcs, okay? And as I said before, I know Nabil will run through this quickly. It's fairly simple, it's very high level, and it's just absolutely nothing to be scared of. And then there's no program. So when you're looking at the past papers, don't do the program, but just look at the method statement. Please just look at your time constraints. And yes, this is what it talks about. This is the hierarchy where we're using sustainability as a key criteria. And I'd suggest you drew this on the your paper. As I said before, on one side it's blank, and then build that reverse pyramid. Build nothing, build less, build clever, build efficiency, minimize waste. And it tells the examiner that you are considering sustainability. And then it's an aid memoir for yourself. Obviously, build nothing isn't going to be an answer, because obviously the exam is testing you as an engineer. So it's how you would build less. How would you repurpose, refurbish, reuse, maximize space? And there are other documents on that map, a sustainability map there, talked about how to repurpose steelwork and how you can use that. But yeah, read those documents. And again, the committee, myself, and a few others who are here to help. And that's about it, Declan, I think.
Okay.
I'll just Can you take the control back? But I've seen there's some answers, some questions there.
Yes, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
can you hear
so
me?
yeah. I'll take them both. It's fine.
Okay.
So Safe has asked there, do we need to consider the embodied carbon of materials used in the temporary works like plywood? No. I think A1 to A3 is about the preliminary design. I think construction, it comes in, yes, you could further on down the line, but as part of this exam, no, not at the moment. It's just the principal design elements. Hopefully that's answered that for you, Safe. Anand asked, when you say no program, could you describe what it really means? Was it part of the exam earlier and not now? Yes. So the last question used to be prepare a high-level program and a method statement. So now, when you look at this paper, it's there are 100 marks. Okay, to test you as an engineer, if we're adding in sustainability, then something else has to come out of the exam. So what the institute looked at was, look, you've got to know how you're going to build something as an engineer. But they felt that the program could be pushed to one side, let's say, for the sake of sustainability now, which is part of the climate emergency that we've got. So it's far more important. So yeah, when you're looking at past papers, don't bother looking at a program. Hopefully that's answered that. Anonymous attendee. So you've asked in section 1A, I will be selecting one from two alternatives. You need some advice, steps to be written on selection based on sustainability. You'll be doing CO2 count in section 2. So look, the team will be going through this in the workshops. So what they'll be looking at is going through the embodied carbon calculator, and then looking at potential different schemes. And then let's just say how the embodied carbon of a concrete scheme is versus the carbon content of a steelwork scheme. And then your pros and cons of looking at those two would be, well, the embodied carbon content of concrete scheme is lower than steelwork scheme. So okay, that's your choice. But the team will go on through that over the course of the next few weeks. But again, I can, you know how to get hold of me. I've done the embodied calculator course. So if you need any help and assistance, like I say, beyond the workshops, I'm quite happy to help.
Okay. I think that's it. I don't see any other questions, unless anyone wants to quickly type in another question.
Yeah,
Thanks
I don't
very much,
mind.
John.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah. Considering it was a presentation on time management, John, well done. You didn't go over, so
I know I can't. It would look a bit, yeah.
yes. Okay, there's one more question. Paper has a question on a bridge, refurbishment, building, and mall. All questions will have sustainability aspects.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, all questions, the sustainability has to be key consideration from now on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll put they'll and hopefully we go through this in the workshop. But I always say this as well. All of the questions are based on live projects. They will have been a project at some point in time. Okay, and obviously now more and more projects are taking sustainability into account. So they'll be based on real life projects.
Yes.
There's something there from Mohammed. Is it possible to start on the method statements before doing the calculation part in the exam? That's actually a very good question, Faisal. It's a very good question, Faisal. One of the things I do recommend as part of when you do more in-depth time management courses is that as you are preparing your calculations, you do your method statement. Or yeah, as you're preparing your method statement, do the calculation. So you're starting off, you're doing your excavation, temporary works. How do I hold that up? Doing the calculations. Then it's foundations, preparing foundations, the lines in, blah, 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 blah. So it's a good question. I would do that as you're doing the design, to go hand in hand. You've got plenty of paper to do this in. So as you're doing your paper, as you're doing on one paper, the calculations, the one next to it, do your method statement. So it's a good technique. So that's a great question. Thank you, Faisal.
Yes, thank you. Another question.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to answer quite a few because I think with this new format, there's a few people on here that have not seen this and are doing papers already. So yeah, right. Anonymous attendee, I'll just start. I won't. You talked about one more question with respect to GCC region. The paper is international. Okay. So your answers, you can use a regional bias to answer that question because you state the codes that you're going to use beforehand. So you could use, the building code, you could use British standards, Indian standards, the North Pole standards. It doesn't really matter. So what I would say is there are regional differences in some of the construction techniques, and Dubai doesn't have it now, but you used to have sacrificial formwork, piling, and people were using that and failing on efficiency because they never stated this is how we do it in the region. Anyway, I digress from the question. You talk about few construction materials are imported from other parts of the world. Can I mention, I assume, the project site in UAE, the base? Well, yeah, I haven't done A1 to A3 calcs recently, but I do know the distance and the travel is imperative. So I'm not too sure on A1 to A3, but yeah, it's a good question, but I don't think A1 to A3 takes that into account. It's just a carbon calculator. You've got a volume of concrete, a tonnage of steelwork. You apply those numbers that the cheat sheet that I did in there, and it comes out with an answer at the end. But I could see that in maybe 10 years' time, then we might be doing more counts on it. It could evolve. But at the moment, no, you do not need to do that. Okay. And could you recommend pocketbook codes? Well, you've hit the nail on the head there, Anand, from Fiona Cobb. Just use that. I don't know of anything for ACI, but when you're attending the workshops, ask some of the other guys and girls that are doing that. They could point you in the right direction. But if you've mentioned Fiona, you can design in British and Euro codes. Keep moving down. Anonymous attendee again. What best resources will help me in preparation? The rest of these workshops. Just attend over the next few months. That was the best. People are actually polled after they've done the exam, and people who do the CM prep workshops or courses have got more chance of passing than people that don't. Okay, so do the work, do the workshops, do papers. That's the best. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, A4 is the transport. So thank you. Any more? Quite happy to wait for a bit. If anyone's typing. No.
Okay, I think that's it. thank you very much, John, for the presentation and describing in accurate detail what the changes are, so that people will be able to focus on those over the next few weeks. So just for everyone that's attended, you'll receive an email tomorrow, some stage tomorrow, with a mock question. You'll be given a time limit, a day that you need to submit back your answer, and then we will discuss it with some of the committee members, not next Monday, but next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, the 21st of November at the same time. So we look forward to catching up with everyone then. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you very much, John. And thanks to Sajid for his support with the IT as usual. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night.